Episode of Bastards YouTube. Red Sox coming off a pretty good series over the weekend, winning 3 out of 4 against the Anaheim Angels on the regular podcast, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all major platforms. I picked them to only win 1 out of 3. So definitely exceeded my expectations. We are going to be getting into whether or not we think the Red Sox are kind of back in the race or at least in contention to compete for a wild card spot. I know it's only April, but these games are important too. Before we do that, we've got someone new on the crew tonight. His name is Sam Berger. He has a lot more experience than all of us in the sports and entertainment world. So go ahead, Sam. Introduce yourself.
First of all, gentlemen, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm honored to be on. I'm fired up to talk some Boston Red Sox baseball with you, just so people know. Currently, I write for Rotoballer, where I cover Major League Baseball nationally, and also the NFL, and also write for Dirty Water Sports. Here more locally, covering the Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots. Off and on with Dirty Water TV, also on Nesson. And just to get right into my take, no, the answer is no, guys. They're not back. And, I don't want to spend my first show with you guys screaming and yelling. But you know how the Red Sox can get under our skin, and they have done that. And at 8-9, they're far from being back. In fact, taking 3 out of 4 from the Anaheim Angels didn't do anything for me. To be honest with you, I think the Angels are actually in worse shape than the Red Sox are. That's a bad baseball team, having 2 of the best players on the planet, and they still can't figure it out. 2 of those 3 wins, they basically handed to the Red Sox. I think it was Friday night. It was either Friday or Saturday night where 3 of the 5 runs were gifted either via error or wild pitch. Rendon at third base had an awful series. He couldn't find the baseball if it was placed in his glove. And, we can talk a little bit more about this in a little while, but the lineup, that was a AAA lineup, a AA lineup yesterday that they put out there without Verdugo and Justin Turner in there. Rafi Devers was your only major leaguer. And I'm not being overly sarcastic. You have guys like Ref Schneider, Kike Hernandez, who's a 238 lifetime hitter, Reese McGuire, and Connor Wong. Cassis and Yoshida haven't showed up yet. There's major concerns there. So, I could go on all day about this, but I won't. No, they're not back. And there is a ton of work to be done if they want to even consider. They're in last place. And I would think and I would assume they'll be there for quite some time.
Nick, thoughts on the state of the team? Where are we at?
So I'm going to agree a lot of the same approaches that Scott had from everything. It's Scott, right? Or Sam?
Sam.
Sam.
I love
one
you
of the
too.
S's.
I love you
One
too.
of the
That's
S's
okay.
too.
We're all getting to know each other.
The biggest thing that I looked at from this weekend, and along the same lines of the being prepared, look at the Angels with the catcher interference calls. That's basically how you won one of your games. You take that away, could have been a 2-4 weekend. You also have Rob Refsnyder hitting third in your lineup. Let that sink in again. That is your protection for Rafi Devers. Are you kidding me? Masataka Yoshida, he has done absolutely nothing. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the general managers around baseball are laughing at Chaim Bloom's face after how much he paid for him. Look at what he's done. Nothing. He's not showing me anything right now. I know it's been a couple weeks here, but the biggest concern on him was how he was going to catch up to the major league fastball. He has no chance in hell. And then he has a potential hamstring injury. So that's another thing that's of concern. On a positive note, I was thrilled that we got an awesome start from Garrett Whitlock. I understand it's the Angels. I get it. But he still threw 7 innings of 1-run ball. That is unheard of this season that you have seen from this team. I still feel Whitlock's better in the pen, but what you just saw here in that rotation from this weekend gave me quite a bit of confidence, at least with having him there as an anchor. The other thing I do want to mention is, yes, I know it's his first start for the season, but I don't really still understand the hype on Brian Bayo. He went 2-8 last season. I understand, again, rookie, trying to come up, trying to find his place in the league and everything. But can we please freaking stop on the comparisons of Pedro Martinez? Can we stop with that? Like, it's ridiculous. Let the kid earn his place on the team and in this league. And then when we feel that he has hit that plateau and he is getting to that point of being a stud, call it then. But please stop banking on Brian Bayo as an ace. It is ludicrous. So no, this did not move the needle for me. This did not do anything with this series. The Angels are worse off than us right now, and yet you still have Ohtani and Trout as part of your team. Phil Nevin will be fired this season from the Angels. You mark my words on that, their manager. And it's going to be another disappointing season for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
You guys make a lot of great points. Yoshida is a big one for me. $18 million for a guy who can't hit the ball in the air. It took no time at all for Major League pitching to figure out if they throw high in the strike zone, he's just going to spike them into the ground or pop up. Same as if they attack the outer edge of the plate. It took no time for him to be figured out. And if you're going to be spending $18 million, you'd hope he could play a little bit of defense. The dude can't throw. He's average at best. And I think that's being extremely generous out in left field. And he's showing no signs of getting it together. Tristan Casas, first base, continues to be a black hole in the Chaim Bloom era. It's just a terrible lineup. It's so imbalanced. And Nick, like you said, perfect take. Ref Snyder having to be the guy to protect Devers is just hilarious. 30 teams in Major League Baseball, 29 of them, Ref Snyder would be nowhere near the 3-hole. And even after winning 3 out of 4, the Red Sox still have the 29th ranked rotation. We are terrible, in terms of starting pitching. So the bullpen held up and they kind of held down the fort while the Angels found ways to beat themselves. But we've got the Minnesota Twins basically starting right now with Chris Sale, and that's the number 1 ranked rotation in Major League Baseball. So,
and that's the thing, is that they haven't played real team besides the Tampa Bay Rays yet. They played the Angels, the Pirates, and the Orioles so far. I mean, they haven't even faced real competition, and they're struggling. I mean, they shouldn't even be 8-9. They should be, 5-10 right now. They were gifted some wins with that lineup. They have one hitter in that lineup that's legit. Verdugo's a nice player, sure, but that's all he is. I mean, you lost Bogarts and JD Martinez, and you replaced them with who? A 58-year-old Justin Turner, and Yoshida, who's a ground ball machine to second base. I mean, what are we doing? You don't have a starting catcher. Wong and Reese McGuire, aka the carjacker. What is that? What do you have there? You don't have a catcher in the middle of the infield.
You got a guy good with a wood.
Yeah, exactly. Good with a wood. You have Kike Hernandez can't play shortstop. He can't throw the ball to first base, and he can't hit. What are you doing in the middle of the field? Arroyo supposed to be a hitter, right? Before he gets hurt, he can't hit either. I mean, the team it's a disgrace right now.
Well, the Twins are a first place team in the AL Central. Then we're going to have the first place Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend, who have a very good pitching staff, even without Brandon Woodruff. So we'll see what the next week brings, but the Red Sox don't really have an easy matchup until literally the month of June, unless you want to count the Orioles, but that's a team that can mash and probably should have beaten us 2 out of 3. So we'll be back as things develop, and everyone, please like and subscribe as always, and find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.